this is Dana Hadley with Fairway Independent Mortgage, Team Hadley, and today I'm doing a home project where I am refurbishing some glass mirrors that we had in the house. I actually bought them over 20 years ago from Pier 1, and now they're just really too dark and too heavy for our living room. So I am going to paint them a gold color, and actually you can paint glass. So I'm going to show you how. I already did the first mirror and it turned out really well. So now I'm going to film myself doing the second one and show you guys what I did. The first thing I did was I cleaned the mirror in the center with Windex. So I've already done that. And then another thing you have to do to prep is you have to clean the actual glass itself. So I am going to use a degreaser. I'm using Simple Green, and I'm going to spray it down. And then I have a damp microfiber cloth that I'm just going to wipe it with. Now I'm going to let this dry a couple minutes. So I let the glass dry, and now the next step is that I'm going to, I have to tape off the mirror itself so that I don't get any paint on it. So what I did with the last one, because it's curved, the only way that I found that was really effective is I just did little tiny pieces of the painter's tape. And I tore them off and just kept going around the mirror like this until I'm all done. And it takes a little while, but it really did work. And I mean, if you can think of a better way, but this was effective. It just takes a little bit of time to get all the tape torn out, lined up. And I did tiny little pieces so that I could keep with the curve. Hi, so I got the mirror taped out with the painter's tape. It took a while, but I got it done the whole way around, and really it's pretty tight, and it's ready to go. So then the next step is I'm going to sand all of the glass first to sort of roughen it up a little bit, and before we prime it. So I got like a really fine sand paper. It's 220. And I just really cut out little pieces, and now I'm going to go around and sand it all down. You really don't need to press too hard. You just do it real lightly, because I don't want to scratch up the glass either. So it's just a really moderate amount of pressure. And the real purpose is just to make sure that the primer adheres to it, the glass. Okay, so after I did a light coating the whole way around the glass, I am now going to take the same rag that I used to degrease with and just wipe off any sand, leftover sand, and make sure the surface is completely cleaned up and prepped for the priming. So I wiped down all the sand from the sanding, and now the next step is to put the primer on, and I'm using Kills. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm going to paint a really solid layer the whole way around. I end up having to do 2 coats, so I'm going to end up doing 2 coats again, and then I'm going to let them dry in between coats for about an hour. And then I'll put the second coat on. So here goes the first one. You could also use a roller, but the reason I chose a brush because it's more effective because of all the different nooks and crevices and layers to this mirror. It's not flat, so the brush is the best choice for this project. If I had a flat mirror, I would probably just use a smaller roller brush, because you can do a lot quicker. Hey, I'm back. I'm going to do my second coat of primer. The first coat's dry now. While I was waiting for the first coat to dry, I did not rinse out or even wash the brush. I basically just wrapped it in a damp paper towel to keep it, nice in between coats. And now I'm ready to go with the second coat, and I'm really just going to make sure I get everything real good once again so that all you can see is white. There's no glass coming through, after the first coat. So this second coat will give me enough coverage, and then when I'm done with this, I'm going to let it dry probably overnight, and then I'm going to start the gold tomorrow. Okay? Hi, I'm back. I let the mirror dry overnight. And also I wanted to mention that when I did the first mirror, I did it out in our garage. I'm doing it inside this one because it got colder really quick. So I have ventilation. I may have windows open on either side, but the cold temperature, we were afraid the paint just wouldn't dry and adhere as well. So I'm doing it inside just because I don't want to be doing it in such extreme weather, extreme temperatures. But anyway, I'm going to put the gold on, and I wanted you to see that I found this, I think both Home Depot and Lowe's have it. It's just a gold finish. It's a little bit of has a shine to it, a semi-gloss, but it's just called Brilliant Metallic Paint, and they had it in gold. So again, I'm just going to put this on with a brush because of all the grooves on the mirror frame. The brush gets in and out a little bit better. But you could put your coat on of the gold with a little roller. So I let the first coat dry. It's probably been an hour and a half, and it feels completely dry. It laid really well, the gold. There's just places like it's not completely 100% coverage. You can see white sticking through from the primer. So it definitely needs a second coat. The second coat, I really put, a fair amount on and get it completely covered. And that's usually all I need. So I'm going to start now putting the second coat on and doing a really good coverage. Maybe spending just a little bit, slightly more time on this coat, because this really is enough. It'll be the final coat. And then when I'm done, we'll take a look. I'll show you what it looks like. Hi, so I'm back. I completed the 2 coats of gold. I did the second one, and I ended up doing a third one, like a really light third coat, because it just needed just a little bit more gold. All the areas weren't 100% covered like I wanted them to be. So that would be up to you when you do your project. But anywhere from 2 to 3 coats should be plenty, depending how thick your layers are. So now, honestly, at this point, you could be done. Like the mirror, the project could be completely done. It looks good. I mean, I'm happy with it. One thing that I did do with the other mirror that I did just like this one, and I'm going to do it with this one too, is when I was done and I hung it, it was just a little too shiny for my taste. I just wanted it to have a little bit more depth. So what I did is, and I'm going to do with this one, I took a piece of 220 sandpaper, I cut a little square, and I just went over the finished gold surface and roughed it up a little bit, which I've actually already done with this one. I went the whole way around and roughed it up a little bit, just real lightly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I chose gray paint. I have some gray colors in my living room that I sort of thought would be a good way to give the gold a little depth and dimension. So I had leftover gray paint that I used in my powder room. It was a Benjamin Moore Revere pewter is what I used. So, and I'm going to do it here and show you. I'm going to brush it on with a little roller, just little spots, across the mirror. And then I'm going to rub it in. And then actually once it's rubbed in, sort of wipe it off a little bit too. It's not a hard process. It's actually pretty easy and effective, and it looked really nice. So the first thing is the sanding. And then after I'm done sanding, I'm going to take a damp rag and just ever so lightly just wipe off any sand before I add the gray. Okay, so I rolled out the gray and then wiped it down. And so now for my final layer, I wanted to bring a little bit more shine back, like a final light coat of the gold, so that the gray sort of blended in with what I did. So I took some of the gold metallic that I originally did the 2 layers with, and I mixed it with water, just watered it down ever so slightly, so it's almost like a watered down glaze to put over the top. I would say portion wise, I did probably about a tablespoon of that gold glaze, and then I added maybe 2 tablespoons of water. So it's just a little runny gold glaze. And then I'm taking a brush. I bought this at Home Depot. It's really for corners. It's like an edging brush, but it works really nice on this project because of all of the different layers to the glass. So it gets in and out of everything. But you could use a tiny little regular brush as well. But I think a brush is better than a roller for this. And then I'm just literally going over everything real lightly with like the watered down gold. And I'm going to get in all the little grooves. And again, you don't have to do any of this. You could have just stopped after just applying the gold. But I just wanted something a little bit more texturized. And it is a focal point, these mirrors in my living room. So I really wanted to take extra time and make them look nice the way I wanted them to look. Because it's the first thing you see when you walk in my living room. And then that's all I'm doing. Just going over it. It does get a little watery in sections, so what I did then is just took that damp cloth that I was using earlier to rub the gray off, and I just went over any areas that had too much of that top glaze. And that's really it. And then I did let this dry for overnight. And then I will show you guys what the finished product looks like. And here's the finished product. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I took the dark colored mirror and updated it to the gold, and it really works well in my room and brings out the gold tones.